The 8th time I got dropped into a billionaire romance novel, the story was already halfway through. As usual, I was cast as the villain's fiancé, dutiful, graceful, frugal to a fault. And yet, his affection for me stubbornly lingered at a pitiful 20 points. To put that in perspective, a random dog I petted on the street would probably score higher. If he wasn't going to care, why should I? Screw it. The system's voice buzzed annoyingly in my ear. Host, we need to succeed soon, or your performance bonus is at risk. Let it go. Worst case scenario, I'll cover it. I snapped. I stormed down the stairs, icy and furious, only to almost collide with Hans Thorne himself, returning home. His mood was dark enough to cast a shadow across the room. After 7 previous attempts at the story, I knew this was the part where the hero and heroine officially got engaged. I crossed my arms, a smirk tugging at my lips. Well, Mr. Thorne, that stormy look on your face. Did Miss Meadows reject you again? Hans's piercing gaze immediately zeroed in on me. The system practically screamed in my head. Host, are you insane? Our mission is to win him over. Win him over? Not happening. I rolled my eyes so hard I almost saw my brain. 7 lives, 7 full-on attempts at this ridiculous mission. The only other thing I'd ever stressed that much over were my SATs.
So, what if it failed?
I'd had enough frustration to last a lifetime, and I wasn't holding back anymore. Was I wrong? I teased, stepping closer to poke at the mountain of his ego. Honestly, you're kind of pathetic, Mr. Thorne. You've been her backup for years, and you still can't compete with some random newcomer. Hans's eyes darkened, sharper and colder. He advanced, every step exuding danger, and pinned me against the wall. Diana Vance, did you just say that? Do I need to repeat myself? I shot back. You've got a beautiful, devoted fiancé right here, but you'd rather chase someone else.
Ping.
System. Villain's affection level increased by 5. Me? What? Was he into pain or something? I paused to reflect on my strategy. Whenever I tried being sweet and accommodating, his affection either stayed the same or dropped. But the moment I insulted him, it spiked. Wait, could it be? Did Hans Thorne actually like this? No, that couldn't be right. Erica Meadows, the heroine, was the quintessential gentle, innocent type. Hans looked genuinely shocked, staring as if the placid woman he knew had suddenly turned into a storm. I didn't bother explaining. I shoved past him. From now on, Hans, you can stay her devoted little backup, and I'll go live my fabulous life. Out the door I went, hailing a cab straight to the city's most exclusive shopping district. The system's voice hesitated in my ear. Host, are you trying a new approach? I was quiet for a moment. Honestly, do you think that guy is even winnable? Why don't we just pick a different target? System. This mission has always been rated high difficulty. But don't worry, next one is way easier. Great, I muttered, rubbing my temples. It was exhausting, like failing the same test 7 times in a row. That tiny spike in his affection level? Meaningless. Going from 0 to 5 is still a spectacular fail. At the mall, I picked the priciest steakhouse I could find, filled my stomach, and then went on a shopping spree of epic proportions. The original heroine lived on a shoestring budget, and I'd spent so long pretending to do the same to make Hans like me. But now, armed with his limitless black card, I felt weightless. Today, I was blowing through a cool million, no apologies. To hell with frugality. I was born to spend. Hans caught up with me after my movie outing. He practically dragged me into his car, scowling. What have you been doing all day? I held up my new diamond ring and bracelet. Didn't the alerts go through? I've been shopping.
Right.
Diana Vance, you've got some nerve. His glare could darken the sky. I nodded. Sure, I had nerve. Burning through $1 million in an afternoon took guts. And it felt way better than completing some stupid mission. I waved the black card at him. Here. He didn't take it. I waved again. Just so you know, I plan to do this daily for the foreseeable future. The threat was clear. Stop me, or prepare for a constant flood of alerts. Still, Hans didn't move. I'll turn the alerts off. That wasn't the point. Fine by me. Using someone else's money was ridiculously fun. He kept staring, cold and intense. I straightened up, ready for a confrontation. Handsome as he was, on par with the novel's hero, he was just an impossible test paper to me. Who falls for a test they can never pass? Finally, I broke the silence. What are you staring at? Did my devastating beauty just knock you off your feet? His jaw twitched. Are you possessed? Possessed? Ha! I laughed, then spotted a lively street food market. Stop the car. Hans followed. I headed to a bustling barbecue stand, but noticed his gaze fix on something icy and unreadable. Life isn't fair. A short distance away, Leo, the hero, had his arm around Erica. They looked picture-perfect, glowing in their love. Meanwhile, the villain at my side looked ready to annihilate the world in his rage. I shrugged, twisting the knife. TSK, TSK. Aren't they adorable? Truly a match made in heaven. Hans shot me a look that screamed, shut up. I pressed on. Honestly, Mr. Thorne, at this point, if you interfere, you're not the other man. You're the other woman. Diana, would it kill you to be quiet? His voice dripped venom. I smiled sweetly. Hans, would it kill you not to be in love with Erica Meadows? A complex expression flickered across his face. He stared but said nothing. I ignored him, happily demolishing barbecue before we got back in the car. Just as I was about to shut the door, a soft voice called from behind us. Hans?
Can we talk?
Of course, it was the heroine, Erica Meadows. She looked as delicate and heartbreakingly sweet as always, eyes brimming with innocence. I stepped aside with a lazy wave and went to buy myself a boba tea. Then I crouched under a streetlight like some bystander in my own story. The system buzzed again, full of disapproval. Host, you can't just quit. We need to keep pushing forward. I sighed. Relax, system. The sky's gonna rain. My mom's gonna get remarried, and the villain's hopelessly in love with the heroine. Some things you just can't change. A shadow suddenly fell over me. I looked up to see Hans standing there, tall and severe, the streetlight outlining his sharp features. You two finished? I asked, standing up and rubbing my legs, which had gone numb from crouching. He grunted.
Yeah.
I could tell by his expression, another rejection. Again. For a brief moment, I almost felt sorry for him. I patted his shoulder. You know, sometimes you've just got to let go. It's not surprising she turned you down. I mean, who'd pick a guy who's clearly blind? Hans's lips twitched, and he yanked me into the car. Who are you calling blind? I rolled my eyes. You, obviously. You've got an amazing, stunning fiancée standing right here, and you can't even see her. If that's not blindness, what is? System. Ping. Villain's affection level has increased by 5. Me. Unbelievable. The man really was a masochist. Hans must have been losing his mind. He studied me with unsettling intensity, as if trying to see right through me. I ignored him. When we got back to the mansion, I started packing. The system's voice vibrated with excitement. I get it. You're using reverse psychology, pulling back to reel him in. Reverse psychology, my ass. I was done. I left the mansion and bought myself a luxury condo. Sure, $1 million doesn't last forever, but it's plenty for a fresh start. Once I moved in, I texted my favorite partner in crime in this world. Got any cute boy toys? Send me a few. Her response came instantly. Diana, are you possessed? Possess my ass. I've just decided to start over. A girl can reinvent herself, can't she? She was thrilled.
Yes.
Welcome to the Bad Girls Club. She worked fast. Within minutes, I had 3 new profiles in my inbox. I added all 3 and started chatting. Managing multiple conversations at once? Child's play. That evening, Hans finally realized I was gone. His call came in. Where are you? His tone was sharp, cold, and controlling. I was mid-manicure, one hand elegantly in the air. Moved out, I said breezily. Silence. Then, Diana, what game are you playing? I told you already, I replied, smiling. We're going our separate ways.
Fine.
Do whatever you want. He hung up. I admired my glossy nails and exhaled softly. For all his flaws, Hans had never actually treated me badly, at least not directly. Maybe guilt played a part, or maybe there was something deeper. The next day, I saw him again, at Erica's place, holding a pink gift box. How did I know? Because the condo I'd just bought was conveniently located right next door to the heroine's. I found the perfect viewing spot. From my balcony, I had a crystal-clear view of Erica's bashful expression and the little mole at the tip of Hans's nose. Hey, system, I murmured, sipping my coffee. How can a guy like Hans Thorne be such a complete sim for her? The system hesitated. Maybe because she's the heroine? Well, that was probably the only explanation. The universe itself seemed contractually obligated to make every eligible man fall for her. I watched for a bit, then went back inside, ready to take a glorious nap, until my phone buzzed. Hans. Open the door. I bolted upright. Had he seen me spying? I peeked over the balcony. The yard next door was empty. I leaned farther over the railing to check the street, only to meet a pair of familiar, dark eyes staring right back at me. The sunlight framed him like a golden halo, making him look unfairly perfect. "Diana Vance," he called, voice calm and commanding. "Come down and open the door." I slipped into my slides and went downstairs. He wasted no time. "You used my card to buy this condo? Didn't you tell me I could spend it however I wanted?" I said, utterly unapologetic. His gaze swept over the living room, then landed back on me. "Why here?" I paused thoughtfully. "Do you want the honest truth or the real truth?" He didn't miss a beat. "The real one." I smiled sweetly. "Because I wanted a front row seat to watch you simping over another woman." I had finally managed to get under Hans's skin. His expression darkened, the kind of look that could make anyone's blood freeze. It was as if he was trying to decide whether to strangle me or remind himself that murder was illegal. The only reason I dared to push him this far was because of my father. Years ago, my dad had saved Hans's life and later became one of his biggest supporters while he built his empire. That debt of gratitude was the only reason I'd ever been allowed to become his fiancée. "Diana, don't you have anything better to do?" Hans finally asked, his tone clipped but controlled. I smiled sweetly. "Nope. I'm a spoiled rich girl with too much money and nothing but time." "Why do you ask?" "Once upon a time, I'd been a hopeless romantic myself. Because I knew how it felt to stand alone in the rain, I had no mercy for men who thought they could play hero. I wanted to see what a man like Hans looked like when he was the one chasing someone he could never have. Right now, he had no power over me. Then, out of nowhere, he caught my wrist. His gaze traced at my arm, lingering on the tiny mole just below my shoulder. He was suspicious. Of course he was. My transformation from a timid, obedient doll to someone who didn't care about consequences was hard to ignore. "If you like living here, fine," he finally said, letting go. "But I'll be busy for a while, Diana. Try not to cause trouble." "Sure," I replied lazily, waving him off. He gave me one last long look, something unreadable flickering behind his eyes, then turned toward the door. Just as he was about to leave, his phone rang. "Hey, Hans," I called after him. He paused, already irritated. "What now?" I grinned. "Could you take out the trash on your way out?" I woke up to chaos. Clanging metal, chanting voices, and what sounded like a bell being abused. It was barely 9 in the morning. Dragging myself out of bed, I shuffled downstairs in slippers and opened the door, only to find a small crowd in long robes scattered across my yard. The man at the front was ringing a bell and muttering something under his breath. When he spotted me, he began circling me like a deranged pigeon. "What the hell are you people doing?" I snapped. No one answered. "Host," the system chimed in cautiously. "I think they're performing an exorcism." "Exorcise my ass." I slammed the door shut and immediately dialed Hans. The second he answered, I exploded. "Hans Thorne, are you completely out of your mind? My father didn't even know I'd bought this property. There was only one person who could have arranged this nonsense, Hans." "It doesn't seem to be working," he said calmly. "Of course it's not working. Get these lunatics off my lawn right now." "Relax," he said in that infuriatingly composed voice. "They'll leave once the ritual is complete." I took a few deep breaths, but the noise outside was unbearable. "Won't they disturb Erica?" I asked, hoping to appeal to his logic. "She left for work this morning."
Great.
So, I was the only one suffering. I hung up, got dressed, and decided that if I couldn't stop them, I'd just escape. Using Hans's credit card, I booked myself into a 5-star hotel and took the best nap of my life.
That piece didn't last.
Later, I got a text from my father. He'd decided to cut off my cards unless I joined Hans's company. I ignored him and tried to keep spending on Hans's card, until the cashier smiled apologetically. "Sorry, miss, but this card's been declined." Grinding my teeth, I called Hans again. "You froze the card? Come to my office," he said simply. "I'll unfreeze it." "Hans, I'm a spoiled heiress who knows nothing about corporate work. What could I possibly do in your company?" He sounded bored. "I don't expect you to do anything useful. I just can't stand seeing you with so much free time." Hans was finally getting his revenge. I'd provoked him too far, and now he was hitting where it hurt the most. My wallet. In this world, no money meant no life. The only consolation was that his affection rating for me had crept up to 40. At least I was now slightly more likable than a random street dog. At 2 sharp, I strutted into his office. He was mid-video conference, surrounded by executives from different countries, too busy to notice me. His assistant handed me a folder instead. Inside, the job description was brief and insulting, responsible for Mr. Thorne's daily meals, coffee orders, and overall well-being. This wasn't employment. It was babysitting. I slammed the folder shut just as Hans ended his call. He looked at me expectantly. There's an auction tonight. You'll come with me. When do I get my card back? I asked coldly. There's a 3-day probation period, he said, fingers steepled, his dark eyes unwavering. We'll discuss it after that. Unbelievable. I wanted to scream, but instead, I checked my banking app. I still had a few thousand left in my personal account. If I was careful, it might last a month. Then my phone buzzed. A new message appeared on the screen. Hey gorgeous, when are we finally going to meet? I could practically feel the murderous energy radiating off Hans. Under his glare, I calmly flipped my phone screen off and met his eyes without flinching. Oops, Mr. Thorne. Forgot to lower the volume. The new guys my friend had lined up were relentless sweet talkers, calling me angel and beautiful. I was eating it up, too. I'd planned to meet one tomorrow, but clearly, that plan would have to wait. Hans's eyes narrowed into actual daggers. His long fingers clenched around a pen, knuckles whitening. Found my replacement already, have we? Of course not, I said, waving dismissively. He's just a friend. His glare deepened.
Right.
I should probably call your father and congratulate him. Didn't know he had another son so late in life. Maybe even send a gift as an elder.
He actually started dialing. Wait. Don't.
I yelped. We can talk this out. My father adored me, but he treated Hans like a son. If he learned I was texting other men behind Hans's back, he'd probably fly in and set my ashes on fire himself. Delete him, Hans ordered. Fine. No sweat, I still had 2 more prospects. He stalked around his desk and snatched my phone. As his long fingers scrolled through my messages, his face went from dark to darker. Host. Villain's kilometer is at 100, the system shrieked in my head. 100? I glanced at the door, weighing my escape options. Oh, wait, never mind. Not aimed at you, the system corrected. He wants to murder boy toy number 1. Well, that was manageable. After the unfortunate demise of boy toy number 1, I begrudgingly joined Hans at the auction. Thanks to his status, we were seated in a private suite on the 2nd floor. Across from us, Leo and Erica occupied another suite, locked in the perfect couple pose. Leo had his arm draped possessively around her waist, the picture of devotion. I lazily popped grapes into my mouth, watching Hans's face cycle from pale to green to pitch black. Hurts, doesn't it? I murmured, crossing my legs. See, that's what a real boyfriend looks like. All your flashy gifts just make you look like the backup. System. Warning. Villain's affection level decreased by 1. I ignored it. Hans, this obsession will drive you insane. You don't stand a chance. System. Warning. Warning. Villain's affection level decreased by 5.
Ugh.
Annoying. Turn off those notifications, I instructed. A moment later, the system confirmed. Affection level notifications disabled. You know, Hans. My words were cut short when a minty hand brushed my cheek, sliding a grape into my mouth. Hans scowled. Can't even feed you without complaint? I swallowed the grape and finally relented, though he didn't stop. 1 grape became 2, 3. I realized this masochist might have a feeding kink. Across the room, Erica sat in Leo's arms, being fed grapes like a proper heroine. Son of a bitch. I was just a prop. Hans won the bid for a necklace. It had belonged to some European queen and had started at 20 million, eventually skyrocketing to 100 million after a heated duel with Leo. Not surprising, Erica had admired it earlier, and the 2 men were clearly trying to one-up each other for her attention. After the auction, Hans drove me home. As we passed Erica getting into a car, I asked the system, what's Hans's affection level for her? Beep, CRRK. The system's voice crackled oddly. System? You okay? After a long pause, the villain's affection level for the heroine is 30. I blinked. Surely I misheard. I asked the system again and again. Same answer every time. Host, maybe the villain doesn't actually like the heroine, it said, sounding more confident. I rolled my eyes. You told me he was in love with her. And now you're saying he isn't? Honestly, system, for all my failures, you deserve the credit. It is strange, it admitted. Only 30. I ignored it. Once this mission was over, I was sending it in for repairs. When Hans dropped me off at my condo, he followed me inside. He looked like he might stay the night. I didn't mind. After all, he had paid for the place. He led me to my bedroom and handed me the auction box. What? You want me to deliver this for you? I snapped. There was a limit to my prop duties. He scowled. It's for you. No explanation. You can take the morning off. We leave for a business trip in the afternoon.
With that, he turned and left.
I held the $100 million necklace, watching him go. System, I whispered. Think he's starting to like me? Definitely. The villain is totally falling for you. The thought kept me awake that night. A small, unexpected victory, and it was enough to reignite my motivation. Time to get back in the game. Game over. I was out again. The moment I came downstairs that morning, I saw her. The heroine herself, Erica Meadows, sitting pretty in my living room. She and Hans were chatting like old friends, laughter bubbling between them. And even though his expression stayed as cold as ever, the relaxed way he responded to her wasn't the behavior of a man with an affection level of 30. System, I growled. Check his affection level again. Right now. The system stuttered, startled. 80. I knew it. Useless hunk of metal. So that's why he'd gifted me the necklace. He'd been buttering me up before moving closer to her. The classic live next door to the heroine tactic. I was officially back to my retirement plan. After a polite goodbye, I left the condo to give them space. Then I texted boy toy number 2 to confirm our date. My friend immediately replied, "Wait, for real? What about your fiancé?" "My fiancé's dead to me." I texted back. "From now on, call me Queen Diana." Boy toy number 2 was everything a girl could ask for, handsome, easygoing, and with abs sculpted by angels. My eyes nearly popped out of my head. I grabbed his hand without shame. This was the life. Who cared about villains or missions?
Warning.
Level 1 alert. Hostile entity approaching, the system shrieked. Who now? I muttered. Your fiancé, it said. The one you just declared dead. I got dragged home by Hans. He shoved me onto the couch, towering over me like a storm about to hit. Diana, he said through gritted teeth. Care to explain? I fixed my hair and looked up calmly. He's my next candidate. Hans actually froze, clearly not expecting honesty. His jaw clenched, his grip tightening around my arm. You want to end the engagement? Look, I sighed. You don't want to marry me, and I'm tired of pretending. Why drag this out? I gave it my best shot. You're just not into me, and I'm not about to waste my whole life waiting for crumbs. I meant it too. I was ready to take whatever penalty came with quitting. Hans's lips pressed into a thin line. After a pause, I thought I heard him mumble, maybe if we just tried a little longer, but his voice was too low to catch. Then he straightened, cold mask firmly back in place. Have you thought about the consequences of breaking our engagement? I tilted my head.
Sure.
Freedom, fun, and maybe a new wardrobe. His expression darkened. Freedom? Diana, you wish. He stared at me for a long moment, then said evenly, fine. You can break it off. But in the last 3 years, you've spent roughly 200 million of my money. I'm not financing your next man. I'll make it simple. Pay me back 200 million. My smile froze. 200 million. There was no way I could scrape that together. And if my father learned it was a breakup fee, he'd fly home just to strangle me. I immediately switched tactics, pouring him a glass of water with my sweetest smile. Why bring money into it? That's so materialistic. If you're not in a rush to end things, I'm not either. He didn't even take the glass. His gaze stayed cold. Don't bring it up again. Erica found me. After the whole boy toy fiasco, Hans practically had me on a leash. She managed to corner me during lunch break. Let's make this quick, I said, glancing at the clock. I only get an hour. To my surprise, Erica nodded seriously. We're in the same business. What business? I frowned. The system, she said. At that moment, my own system finally woke up.
Ping.
Detected presence of System Unit 17. You useless pile of circuits. I've met this woman 7 times, and you're only picking her up now. Wait a minute.
Hold on, I said.
You've been here every time? Erica looked embarrassed.
Yes.
I chose to pursue 2 targets at once. I didn't realize another player had been assigned to this world.
Ah.
Everything clicked. She was doing a double mission. 2 men, double the payout. Smart. No wonder Hans had been impossible to win over. The woman sitting across from me wasn't just the heroine, she was a professional. Losing to her made sense. The real fault lay with the central system for double booking us. I can give up on Hans, she started, but I lifted a hand to stop her. Don't bother. His affection level's already at 80. You're practically done. But you'll be penalized, she said, frowning with concern. It's just a few points, I said lightly. Erica thought it over, then smiled and squeezed my hand. If I finish my route successfully, I'll share the points from Hans's storyline with you. It was a system error anyway, so I'll file for compensation.
Damn.
She really was the heroine. All kindness, no ego. I grinned, squeezing her hand back. One last question. What is it? She asked. Can you also request to win me over while you're at it? Erica was hard at work. Every evening, I'd see her walking up to my condo with a box of homemade pastries, and there I'd be, stretched out in my hammock on the balcony, the perfect observer of their adorable little exchanges. My system, upon realizing that its old mentor, System Unit 17, was on the scene, had basically given up. Apparently, 17 had been a brilliant model, and my sad excuse for a system had flunked evaluations for 3 years straight before being discarded. Lucky me, I ended up with this defective model. Maybe next time, we should handle 2 targets at once, my system sighed, clearly still nostalgic. I'm touched you think I'm capable of such multitasking, I muttered dryly. Then I caught Hans's gaze from below. The silent message was crystal clear. Back off. Fine by me. I was getting tired of their sugar-coated theatrics anyway. After a quick shower, I stepped out, topless, warm from the water. Hans was standing there, and the look on his face was complicated. He turned his back faster than I could blink. I wrapped a towel around myself and asked casually, "Need something?" "Have you been watching us this whole time?" he asked, still facing away. His ears were pink under the soft light.
Yep.
Her pastries are spectacular. Save me a few next time, I said, grinning. That apparently broke some unwritten rule because he spun around, eyes blazing. And you're not jealous? Apparently, not being jealous was a crime. I thought for a moment, then adopted my saddest, most pitiful face. Oh, I'm used to it. After all, she's the one you love. Wishing you both happiness and long life together. Hans practically combusted. The frost on his head-to-toe aura was melting into pure fury. System's voice rang faintly in my ear. Maybe he's mad because you don't care about him being with another woman? I blinked. That actually made sense. Switching tactics, I straightened and assumed my coldest demeanor. Hans, this is my house. In the future, I'd prefer you don't bring your romantic escapades here. His icy features softened, just enough for Frost to thaw.
Noted, he said.
True to his word, Erica never set foot in my condo again. Meanwhile, my relationship with Hans quietly improved. I'd initially been cold and harsh, blaming him for 7 lifetimes of my own failures. But once I realized I'd been competing with a professional, I let it go. Losing to a pro isn't shameful, and Hans, I'd admit, had charisma to spare. A container of barbecue appeared in front of me. Hans, back from a late night at work, looked exhausted. Eat this and throw the trash out. Don't leave it overnight. I nodded. Hans was slowly becoming tolerable. Remove the marriage pressure, and he could actually make a decent roommate. From the balcony, I noticed a faint argument from next door. I leaned over, catching snippets. You don't have me in your heart. I pointed it out to Hans. Look, here's your chance. He glanced briefly, then waved. Eat your barbecue while it's hot. Not even going to interfere? I thought. Finally, after a long pause, he muttered, Diana, from now on, Erica Meadows and I are done. At first, I thought Hans and Erica had just had a spat. The next day, Erica explained, Hans's high affection level was tied to an item I was using. I frowned. What item? In my last world, I captured 3 male leads at once, and the system rewarded me with an affection-boosting item. In this world, all key male characters started out at 60 or 70 with me. I glared. I wanted one of those items. But, she continued, every time I failed before, it was right after marrying the hero. the villain's affection would plummet, and the system would declare failure, pulling me out of the world. Her gaze met mine. Your presence counters the item, dropping the villain's affection to normal. That's why the failures happened repeatedly. So that was it. We've been stuck in a loop again and again. Everything finally clicked. Hans's erratic affection for Erica? Caused by the item. But even with the item, a key character in this world couldn't be fully controlled. And I was the wild card breaking the effect. So, I asked the system, what's his affection level for me now? 85, it replied. I nearly did a happy dance. Finally, after giving up completely, it felt like hitting the jackpot. Erica wasn't pursuing Hans anymore. Her focus was on the hero, the bigger points, and she wasn't risking the major prize for a minor one. And Hans's affection for me? One step away from the finish line. I never expected my dad to play wingman at the highest level. Some rumor, probably unfounded, had reached him, and he immediately flew in from overseas, demanding that Hans and I tie the knot within the month. Naturally, I didn't object. I glanced at Hans, who slid a folder across the table. A prenup? I asked, eyebrow raised. I opened it, only to find page after page of wedding dress designs. I stared at him suspiciously. You've been planning this for a while? No, he said, instantly defensive. Then, with an attempt at casual cool, he steepled his fingers and met my gaze. Only for a couple of days. I rolled my eyes. Hans, is it really that hard to admit you've fallen for me? His face betrayed the tiniest flicker of fluster. I leaned back, grinning. I told you from the start. I'm beautiful, elegant, and a total catch. Anyone who can't see that is blind. Hans's expression went unreadable. I turned to the system. So, what's he really thinking? Is he thrilled to marry me? The system replied immediately. Probably thinking, do I really have to go through with this? Perfect, I muttered. The next few days were pure honeymoon bliss. I went full throttle, flirting, teasing, shamelessly seducing, but his affection stubbornly lingered at 95. Unbudging. Infuriating. On our wedding day, Erica arrived. I kept a close eye on Hans's affection level for her. A perfect, steady 30. No worries there, his feelings for me were rock solid. Erica handed me a gift with a warm smile. Congrats on the wedding. Don't forget to grab dinner with me after our missions. I asked about her mission. She glanced at Hans, leaning in slightly. I'll be leaving today. Capturing the villain wasn't necessary. Points from the hero are enough to keep me living lavishly for a while. After she left, Hans appeared, a subtle edge in his voice. How did you two become friends? I gave him a disdainful look. Should I have become her enemy because of you? As if any man was worth it. 3 months in, married life was sweet. Hans was an excellent husband. Lazy? Sure. Spoiled? Absolutely. But he indulged my whims, letting me live my fabulous life with zero restrictions. The only catch. His affection level was still shy of perfect, which was maddening. Maybe, the system suggested tentatively, you should try that? What? It promptly downloaded a very spicy visual into my mind. Whips, candles, the whole dramatic scene. Isn't that a bit much? I asked, mouth twitching. System shrugged. Do you have any better ideas? Damn it, here we go. That night, I was dead tired, but Hans was unstoppable, carrying me to the bath. As the hot water wrapped around me, I felt myself drifting toward blissful sleep. System. Ping. Villain's affection level has reached 100. He really was a masochist.